，Hello，这是谁啊？这是谁？可以打个招呼吗？啊噜噜，嗯。格兰奇庄园事件，这应该是最后一章了吧？希望电脑明天就可以拿到了，这样我就可以玩最后生还者了。shit。
The game is afoot, not a word. Into your clothes and come. I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade, a letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it has always turned out to be entirely justified. I fancy that every one of his cases has found its way into your collection.
Yes, they all seem
啊，我还
worthy
没吃益生菌，靠北。
However, I regret your fatal habit of looking at everything
忘
from
记
the
益
point
生
of
菌
view of
啊
a story instead of a scientific exercise.
Oh, Holmes, you...
I beg your pardon, I digress. It would be much better to examine this letter
算了，
than
明
to
天
try
再
to
吃
convince
啊
you.，
已经拖太久了。
聂小可 said， 先去洗澡了。
啊，你不是骂了吗？上次被你骂过啊！神经病啊！这样还要问那么多人？啊，娜娜，超像啊，超像。忐忑不是娜娜。
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this letter.
是特的哦。
A wax seal with the monogram E.B.
EB
The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
那不拆下来看一下？
聂小可 said， 像你啊。
亲爱的福尔摩斯先生，如果你能尽快赶到我这里协助调话的话，哟，会十分的感激的。这个案件应该十分对你有胃口。从生在这里的这位小女士，我不会动现场的任何东西呀。不过我希望你能够快一点，不能这么随随便便的。要是他是先生，在哪儿？神经病。
So, what is it, Holmes?
Promising, as always, it appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper, the EB monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
Holmes, how can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
再去啊，好吧。哦。
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid, Teresa Wright.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Sir Warthen Brackenstall.
不然，哎，真觉得这部游戏做的真的蛮不错的。
Lord George Brackenstall. Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Baron Lyndon Brackenstall.
这个我还没看，老的，这是爸爸吧？
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
我看一下爸爸啊，哎，come on.
Lord Brigham Brackenstall. The Brackenstall family seems rather austere.
Yeah, it's good.
Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
常被家暴，都是你杀的吗？啊！球。肝不好哦。 是啊。
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw 2 others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that he had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had heard them, for he was holding his stick. But they were 3, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the elder one, struck him a terrible blow with the poker. I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Did these 3 villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you? Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Your ladyship?
那你现在应该很开心啊，他死掉了。
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir.
你为啥要把那女生打成这样？
靠腰啊！不要吓我啊！
靠北，福尔摩斯是有什么好吓人的？
那我啊，之后你会来。
哦，好吧，你去直播吧。看你今天不会打球了。
我已经打了一个下，已经
没问题。
打到已经受不了。
你忙，我自己去打。
掉到5了，掉到5又1颗星。但我刚才真的差一点就掉到绝对无力。
不错，这样可以跟更多的人一起玩。
什么？
这样可以跟更多人一起玩，不然大家都嫌我们排位太高了不好打。
我会。对啊，我还要算了。啊，我播完你应该也要睡了。
I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge
我
gate.
接夜班啊，
But I
你觉
thought
得
nothing
呢？
of it at the time.
你接夜班
If I'd
哦？
known,
那你还不是一样要会睡？
I went to
会比
bed,
较晚睡
and
啊
it。was more than an hour after that I heard my
因
mistress
为我还
scream.
差一个任务啊，
And
就是
down I
组队。
ran to find her tied to the
哦
chair and him
没
on the
关系，你
floor
先
with
玩
his
你的
head，smashed.
我用阿
That's
神
all I
去
know.
雷人一下。
被人家骂。
不会，大家都很和蔼可亲的。
屁的，今天越来越多，今天好像，这玩什么？玩谁我也忘。啊，对啦，那个我玩阿神，2个人守我，我当然是往内线传啊。
然后他们又拼命塞给你要投。
对啊，然后好，我投了啊，一直不进啊，一定不进的啊，因为一直被2个人守，你完全就是干扰啦、
嗯，
然后他就在那边干啊，干说啊，阿神是智障。我觉得那时候我没有开回，我没有骂回去啊，我是因为我那时候在直播啊，他说你才智障呢，两个人不进去攻，因为他两个人就是那个嘛，跟赤木，
樱木跟赤木好惨。
对啊，不是很惨，因为我已经帮你赢2个人在这边了，你有2个人的进攻，你不进攻，你一直往外塞给我啊，我不进是很正常的，因为我不想当手啊。我虽然没有被盖，但是我完全被干扰啊！他就说智障啊！但我一直在跑空位，我一直在跑啊，2个人在追我啊！两周前，我最近一直在输球，从3一直掉到5一颗。我一直上下下，
习惯就好了。打积分就是这样。
打比赛，不是打对啊，比赛。我觉得如果要升上去，真的要固定的队友，固定的队伍啊，不然真的很难升上去。上次真的是抽到升到1啊，谢谢。
真的啊，抽到好队友。
这群臭名昭著啊，安达尔吗？他们成功的抢劫一户希德拉姆的富人家庭。早餐时，他们只说中，受害者谢美银雀描述出盗贼的体型特征。呀，只会3个成语，不良子的 Jack Radio， 对吧 ？Jack Radio， 40岁左右。Rhythm 没耳闻吗？
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
不知道，这种。
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it. This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one?
中暑。
So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
我是说他这边都
在那边玩游戏啊。
都跑去玩了嘛？
差不多了吧？
大家都那么穷，会有几个人是啊？这不是
不会啊，我们都是爱玩这个的。有啊，我有玩啊。
是玩那个。
Lord Ramsay Brackenstall, Baron Lyndon Brackenstall, Sir Warthen Brackenstall, Lord George Brackenstall.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
你说什么？
我还被她老公打得鼻青脸肿的是吧？
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
没有认真。
Well, I can confirm that the death was
我没有在
instant.
看，我在打球。
Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head.
她老公是有
There are no
家，
other apparent injuries.
她老公是有家暴的情形，但是她的脸总是被，就是他们。
造就 said， 你看 DC，
我看 DC， 冲他小。 练的不是这样练的。第三就到底是看你自己。所以我刚刚是不是说你去练？我本来在16就要达成好了，我看你猜。你叫我看这个干嘛？这也没什么事啊。就算有事，也是张小航要去处理的，轮不到我啊。
A trapper's hut.
对啊，又发生什么事了？
好在就为了
The hunting scene.
就为了练功吧。
为了练功。
可能有抢地方了啊！不是的、啊，演的就觉得说他才几级而已。
这有什么好吵的？
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
也不是吵吧，我们可能演的要159吧，啊，他就觉得那个猫，那叫猫。 叫猫好了，他就因为他在练守护。
造就 said，
A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable pair indeed.
练守护，然后他用刀锋在
Chateau Calon Ségur.
在拉怪，然后他会先让刀锋打。
啊，你把直播关了哦。
谁？
There is beeswing at the bottom,
啊？
as if the wine had not been decanted
我怎么
before
看
being
关直播？
poured.
哦，他居然会自己播放，我想我不是把你关掉了。
自己播放
This
什么意
glass
思？
has some wine
就是
traces,
刚刚是
but
完全
no
停
visible
下来的状
beeswing.
况，就他居然自己播起来了。
因为他要你看啊，你看我直播多棒啊，他就是要你看啊。
可是这样我会听到2个声音啊，
你不会关掉、哦？
所以我就直接关掉啦。
你是说听到哪2个声音？
直播的声音跟 DC 的声音2个声音啊。
那、你就把直播的声音关掉啊，直播开着啊，对不对？
不要，这样我可能玩游戏会那个。
就像我现在另一个画面就是某个人在直播，我也是把声音关掉啊。
是妹子在直播是吧？
那就我玩我的啊，把它挂台啊，这挂台意思啊。
可以不用挂台啊，就放妹子给我们看就好了。
什么？
放妹子给我们看就好了。
妹子给你们看看什么？自己去他台看就好了。
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other 2 are clear.
希望明天会好啊，早教。
A fur trader's cabin.
要跑，要先灌，先装了，然后灌。
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me. This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
我原本是这样子的，不对，我最早的想法是说，你先去你家。
A fur trader's cabin.
就是他先拿到电脑东西，然后装一装，然后
A deer hunt.
他先帮我用换，然后更新，等他所有的东西都用好
A hunting scene.
我再叫他拿来给，然后再把我这边的该转的过去的。
玩都晚上了。
啊？对啊，我最原始是这样，先在他那边自己用，然后到时候用好了再拿来给我，然后再把
These wine bottles are expensive.
再把这边的东西装过去。后来因为我太
This
想
candlestick is valuable. It is
捏
interesting
小
that it
可
was not
said
also
等于
sold.
等于
天哪！
我太想玩最后生还者，就是叫
An
他说
empty
那
silverware box.
那你可以
It
今天
appears that the intruders have
今天
stolen
过来
the
直接在我家里
contents.
装，他说那用一用都快半夜，我怎么会那么久？而且他是有老婆小孩的，他没办法带我来到，而且他一来他就是一家人出动的，一家人出动。
A bottle of wine is missing here.
就刚那个红
The
酒，
criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware.
其实我比较想玩那个人对战，但是我必须先把生还者才能去变新的。
Antique hunting weapons.
我不能说我去买那一片，然后最后生还者就丢在那边，然后先玩那一片，也是可以啊。但是最后生还者，我怕他会。
This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently, the criminals did not venture there.
怕最后生还者到时候降价，我拿二手卖出去，拿不到好的价钱。在市面上应该说网络的全部最后生还者的片子都掉价。所以他是被这个打的嘛？
That must be the murder weapon. The head was cracked with the force of the blow.
上气哦，
Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress. It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
当时现场应该有3个人在，其中一个人带酒，有2个人在，一个带酒。全部都打一下就好了。对，丢。在哪里？都还没吃。哎，这不可能来自澳大利亚。其实我最后一场保卫让真的是很尽心。
这么说，
聂小可 said， 你人物怎没在线上圣守护？
还有关羽飞啊，那只在不在无所谓啊，主要是关羽飞要在啊。啊靠腰，关羽飞断线啊，都断了，都断了。可能我在玩那个全荧幕的游戏吧。
是你玩的游戏太多了。
啊，算了，没差啦。哦，最后一场真的很惊喜。我的队友都是自干王，都不会传球哦，重点还是长谷川哦。重点还是长谷川跟那个流川枫。我玩什么我忘了。啊，我玩三井啊。是玩三井吗？啊，对，我玩三井。
这时候就认命吧。
然后就赢了，打到对方投降。
聂小可 said， 无语。
对方是那个谁啊，植草，然后2个中锋。花形跟哪一个啊？我忘了，赤木吧。
可是他们机动力太差了吧？
就很无言啊。我们那2个一直自干啊，一拿到球他就是自干。应该说我们也没有什么所谓的篮板可言。就应该是，我就想说啊，不会传球。稳输了，我要掉到绝对无力。他们失误够多。
I've searched outside for footprints without any luck.
他们失误太多，然后我们自干网又非常的稳，
非常的稳。
对啊，我就想说，哦，刚这长谷川也太稳了吧。
其实长谷川中
There are 3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh,
所以我决定，
when I came to myself the first time, Each of them had a glass in his hand.
的那个谁
They might have been a father and his two
篮
sons.
板
They talked together in whispers.
要练啊！
And
我
then
说
they
等我
left.
一组的篮板练完了，我就要全心全意的全部砸在仓库转身上。
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall
你的
safe?
先到呢？
No,
不理
it
他
is my
了。
husband's safe. I do not know
啊，
the
你都先
combination.
阿神了，我要先到
We
干嘛？
have to open it.
阿神跟先到有什么差别呢？
Your ladyship?
签到比较多元化，签到就是它其实可以配合是阿神，或者是藤子。
我阿神要养起来应该还久了吧？
再说，再看看吧，把那个接球的都点，都点了。接球的大照亮。
你看我们这样玩了多久，才存了8000的钻石？
你要？
对啊。那我们都这样玩了多久，才存了8000？再要把阿神喂满，知道我多久？
也不用喂满啊，就是把它该点的点一点就好了。像你说的那一招嘛，那一招要5个吧，忘了。
要5个吧？
就往侧突2次啊。
我知道。
其实也是可以啊，但是有时候你没有角度没调好，它就跑到线外
2分去了。
对啊。我今天就。我觉得今天就遇到一个阿神，哇靠，白，完全守不住。
侧突那一招2下的，大概只有中锋拔得到而已。
没有啦，我是说就算1下的。
对啦，
就算1下的，我们都
还是要人卡啊。
可是妈的，我侧突就被人家盖。
可能我们不够了解那只角色。
屁啦！是因为我阿神守阿神啊，哈哈，就是我被骂的那一场，人家玩的什么 gay 笑，再去 gay 一下，我就觉得可以啊，哇他。
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
他现实中再怎么弱也没弱成这样好吗？
他很强啊
，3不5时就被晃倒。
他说卡通他也不强，卡通他就等阿莫，不神跟光头一幕。
2只选的话，我应该会先选光头吧？
啊，
我会选光头哎、
你这不花钱的他都搞，
就慢慢抽啊，抽到水晶留着啊，粉也不买，藤真也不买那个。
操，这样也能开？现在抽多少了？
啊？
现在夺宝有多少了？
多吧？不知道哎、
你不是
多吧？
每天都不是要夺吗？
没仔细在看，粉点了就关掉了。
来，你点吃到。
好像没白付，刻下去吧。你这样什么游戏都要花，太可怕了。
啊？
我说你这样什么游戏都有花，太可怕了。
看你个人的心态吧。有的人就是不花就是不。 肺脓肿。所以他常常考的家伙都有病啊。
It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal. Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care.
谁啊？这么惨？
就死掉的人。啊，患有肺脓肿啊，因为你抽也不对啊，抽烟才会有。穷死，啊，好像是更糟就一。有话要问。
Oh, what a horrible thing to.
是你吗？
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behavior.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead, but a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was especially hard for her.
去买呀！对呀，不然叫富胖达送也可以啊。
是啊。
奇怪，富胖达的收费明明就蛮贵的，你有办法再一直叫富胖达？
我没有我已经越来越少叫了。自从我胀气后，我就
自从你胀气，这样吃太多吃到胀气还是怎样？
唔知啊，对了，上次有就是那一次吧，那时候吃还没感觉，是隔天才出现问题。一开始以为是肾
结石太夸张了吧？
因为你的那个腰在痛啊，不是痛，隐隐的酸酸的，没有痛。
肾结石会有这种感觉？
有啊，你的后腰啊。
哦，我的后腰感觉一直都在痛啊。
靠腰。
酸痛。
是说里面就是那。酸痛是你去按它，它才会。
没有啊，我都不用按就会痛啊，可能是工作要弯腰搬东西之类的吧，感觉都有点职业病啊。
有啊，我也是搬重。
啊，也是，而且又是做包装的。
对啊。
跟公司建议啊，要省力装置啊。
靠！
我们的是太困难了，所以不太可能。
我们也太困难，我们老板那么抠。
我们不是老板公司，我们的那种东西不太可能。 气也不是不太可能啊，是工作效率有点差，所以没什么要用。要说如果用那种神力装置的话，
这礼拜真的爽。个省电的冷气，你怎么吹都不会被骂。
买了一个省电的冷气，4人多省电不就这样吗？
你会比旧型的。
The death was instant.
啊，新型的一定比旧的省电啊，这是当然的啊。
对啊，所以家人就会比较放心了。之前要吹一下，就说对啊，
你就跟他讲电费我缴，我就是想吹。
就讲过啦，有年长的人就通常人就。
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments, he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's door and set it alight. Another day, he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
吃西瓜冰。呀，Panda。
Panda。
Oh, what a horrible thing!
Please leave my Mary alone. She suffered so much. She deserves some rest.
I've searched outside for footprints without any luck.
外面哪有？有什么要查？
This house feels rather sinister.
Oh. 加了，带上造就。 来看一下娜娜啊，哎，娜娜你好。哦，忐忑，超像。哎呀呦
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case.
太口馋了。真的还要回去。
Search, Toby.
啊！我怎么变一只狗啊？
聂小可 said， 北七干。
好强啊！叫两声门就开。
聂小可 said， 像你最爱的那个女人。
累累。
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware.
好像，好像。
哦，
哦，傻小。
没有啊。看你们两个在干嘛？又在打球了是吧？
他打而已、
他在直播啊。
直播？
对啊。
直播啥？
直播一只很像空横的狗啊！
你谁考你啊？干你
Brave Toby. The best
你最近是
nose
怎
in the
样？
British Empire.
什么事情都要扯到我是吧？妈，脑袋有洞了是吧？啊？
才会有名啊！
那我不想有名啊，我想要低调做人。
不行啊，你已经很有名了。福尔摩斯
做人要低调。
你很高调啦、啊。
我哪里高调？
嗯？
我哪里高调？
靠腰啊！哎、动哦！高调，像一只狗一样。嗡嗡。
啊，讲啊小，看你够强一点，够强没啊是？
哎呀，哦。
那你又更年期到了是吧？经期失调。
要你。
The scent leads to the well. I should check it.
还有啊。哦。哦，爬墙进来。
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall.
爬墙出去。
The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to
娜
the
娜有
shed,
啊，
then
娜娜有在
across
看
to
直
the
播，
well
有
before
啊。
fleeing by climbing over the
所以我
wall.
们讲话她都
I
听得
wonder
到。
why they
听得
chose
到。
such a winding
靠
route.
北。
靠背上。
然后她是在笑什么？
Brave Toby.
哦，
The best
好笑
nose
啊！
in the British Empire.
她自己在讲那边讲都笑到不行。
哪边啊？
菲菲这边啊。
哦，在笑他们吧。
故事不知道。
调查。跟他说，我看到一个很
This
像他的，
hook might be useful.
是啊，
Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
他就笑了。
Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest.
对不对，忐忑？
This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty.
跟你很像。
他说你直播被安不喜欢。
什么？
你直播被安不喜欢？
是啊，应该是。
知道谁安的？
明明就被按喜欢，哪里有不喜欢？
不知道，他说的、啊。
我看是喜欢啊。也不喜欢啊，很正常啊。这个就是
随便啊。
对啊。
啊，我全身都好累啊，怎么办？
是去礼服店啊？
不要嘞。
礼服店
去礼服店干嘛、啊？
买起来啊！
礼服店不好玩。
老吃不啊？
没去过。
常去。
没去过啊。
There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it? If only I had something with which I could lift that object. If only I had something with which I could lift that object. The wheel handle is old and rusty. It seems to be used infrequently.
你为什么不进来讲啊？你恭维啊！你这打你打这那他们会觉得啊，你到底在跟谁打？跟谁聊？你在跟相恭维？
嘿咩？安尼袂使。
跟造就一样，干袂离来，会进来呢。
A hunter scene.
恭维啊，造就。躲在外面。
A hunter's cabin. The Brackenstall family appear to be preoccupied with hunting.
啊？
我说很累，然后去什么阿嬷店啊？阿嬷店是什么啊？干！
啊！
不要这么激动好吗？
他真的那么激动啊？手机掉了。
我不想再摔到荧幕了，荧幕之前明明前2天才换新的，不想再破了。
睡觉，真的玩手机睡觉打到一半，然后打到自己。
不是啊。
Oh, what a horrible.
Please leave my Mary alone. She's suffered so much. She deserves some rest.
需要给。有没有给洗？去仓库找。 个。都没。
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. If only I had something with which I could.
到要给洗啊！
给西底家了，给西。
嘎。躺一躺，啊。
地板凉了、不行。
地板凉了还吹冷气？
更凉啊！
更凉啊！
会凉过头。
大
Hunter scene.
你又知道我有多大只
啊？这个话有点怪怪。
对啊，至少听到觉得怪
叙述
怪的。
方式有点奇怪啊。
关他屁事啊！会不会聊天啊？
不会。你为什么要学他讲话？
要不然学你讲话。
是啊，你很常学他讲话。
有吗？没有啊。
你是不是常常被他有时候有一些语调，有时候你都会拿来用？
有吗？没有啊。
哇！
哦，有人学你讲话啊，不只是学家。
你有学我讲话吗？
有啊。这都不是重点。
什么时候学娜娜讲话？
学娜娜讲话？
对啊。
他又不讲话，我怎么学他讲话？
就去看一下那个我的直播就知道了。他每个打拳他妈干你鸟事！
干你鸟事！
真性情啊！
真的、啊。
不了解。
每次打有都在骂，我就是哇，真的是。
这叫真性情啊！你不了解。
我了解啊，因为我也会啊。我之前也都在骂。但是我就觉得啊，小，回家好了。那一定有大字，哈哈哈，帮我呀！
聂小可 said， 我不做假掰人。
假掰的。没有人做假掰的。我再看一下娜娜啊，哎，是啊，哦，哇塞，超像。然后他要按不喜欢的。
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope
这
are
不是只按一
smoothly
次
cut.
重复按没有吧？
啊
Let us try to find
这不
out
是只
what
按一
tool
次重
was
复按
used
没
to
有
cut the
用
rope.
吧？
那不是他按的啊。
哦，它可以帮你的数量加一，对不对？
对啊。
If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original.
水。
聂小可 said， 像你的老 GG。
老鸡鸡，要么大面，要么拉。
My archive. I can always consult with it.
看一下前一个的事。
This is where. This is where. This.
不给我看，不要冲到啊！卡口。
A map of London and the surrounding area.
Have you found something interesting?
关了是吧？去翻攻略吧。
啊？
去翻攻略吧。
不用啦，这还不需要看到攻略。错，我要找给西啊，不让我给西。
If only I had something with which I could lift that object.
都是你的错。
哦。这里也没东西啊。这个东西，这个啊。 就使用方法。我要回去吗？妈的，钩子！这使用方法我还要回去查资料才有用，但这不是很简单的。 Mr. Home。 再看一下那算表，看腻。
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My archive. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
Have you found...
Oh my. Yo. 肯定是在外面啊。
The hunting scene.
Holmes, don't look at me like that. I don't know what to think about all this.
Money.
Please.
Oh, what a horrible...
This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there.
Eh?
A trap.
一是这里啦，这要怎么用？靠腰！哎呀，这么简单，北气啊！
Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence. The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
手。
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship?
啊，就这样。
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
啊。1894。来回跑，它这样也蛮累的。
聂小可 said：“ 我先去吹头发了。”
你还没吹啊？阿德莱德。
Here it is. The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893, and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th. This list shows the senior... This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
这是一个捷克克。用一下。
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why. You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her, from when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You? And what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
靠，又断，不是又断？怎么每次玩这个都会这样？
Well, Inspector, this case proved to be a simple one after all.
You think it's the Randall gang, then?
Yes.
I'll put my men on it straight away.
I'll leave that to you, Inspector. After all, you have handled this matter quite brilliantly.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes. I do appreciate it.
Oh, what a horrible...
Please leave.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this. You should have let me die. How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case. Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's going on?
Oh, hello, Watson. You're early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes, where have all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. But it worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and dangerous.
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well, I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, how ever did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollenins.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go.
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable collection, I believe.
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favor for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens, and that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Here it is. This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The 2 of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Oh dear. Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house?
Holmes?
Yes, just here, near the door to the Colonial Collection. He suffered a heart attack. Just like that. So suddenly. It was terrible. Excuse me, gentlemen, but I cannot remain here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand. The plants were here. All
Do not touch.
Here is a list of the stolen plants. These trees, with their roots in water, must originate from Louisiana.
Ah, yes.
According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead. The traces are thinner in some places. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf is the same as that on the ground. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. The esconsson was breached near the handle. The door was smashed at shoulder height. This door handle is new. It was recently changed. The door was forced from the inside of the Colonial Collection room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection room.
Very strange. Half of the Colonial Collection is... The smell is strong. It is a detergent. These windows were perfectly cleaned. This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped from a statue or sculpture. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. Water lily greenhouse. Dry tropics.
What should we do next, Holmes? What should we do next, Holmes?
These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for exhibition purposes. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. Dry tropics. There is a smell of burning. Colonial collection. Ventilation system. Seed house. Nursery. Water lily greenhouse. Dry tropics. Palm house. Reserve. Director's office, cloakroom and laboratory. A map of Kew Gardens. A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings. A water tank. A ventilation system. Locked. Seed house. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. A protective mask. Someone set it alight, but it did not burn. The remains of a picture frame. A broom handle was half burned. A door handle? Why would anyone throw such a thing in the fire? The door handle to the Colonial Collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material. The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only, for I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then. That is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Yinshui said, WC.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this room.
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
Would you unlock the doors for us?
Do you expect to find the stolen plants there? I am sorry, but those rooms are private.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
聂小可 said， 就是这个人杀的。
Locked. 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 Nursery.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Nursery. Locked. Seed house. Locked. A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this room.
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
This is where I keep my post. That is not the one I need. Here it is.
聂小可 said， 不小心直播关掉了。
谁啊？
聂小可 said， 我想说怎都没声音。
That is not the one I need. Here it is. The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here. That is not the one I need. Here it is. Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
What should we do next, Holmes?
A task list for Albert, compiled by Martin Hamish. Sweep out the palm house, scrub the toilets, clean the storage shed tools. Palm house. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. Water lily greenhouse.
What should we do next?
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. Dry. A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings. Locked. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Someone should take Toby for a walk. Have you found something interesting?
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Someone should take Toby for a walk. Have you found something interesting?
A map of London and the surrounding area. Locked.
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
Locked. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it. Blood. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash, most likely a head wound. All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked? Was it an accident, or a murder then, I wonder?
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. There is an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall in the water lily greenhouse. The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite normal. The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma. No redness, stings, or bruises. Nothing suspicious here. Now, let us examine the internal organs. The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs. The heart tissue shows no visible pathological signs. The lungs are congested and edematous. The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxins from an unknown plant. The liver is enlarged. It would seem that he was suffering from an alcohol addiction. The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs. The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death. My suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning. Plant poisoning, to be more exact.
You mean...
Yes, it is murder.
We should inform Lestrade.
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No. We also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building? I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little. Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You
聂小可 said 等于
mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well,
聂小可 said 暂停个屁
it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say? He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That
And?
He had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Hamish, can you tell us who holds the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before, and now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was?
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example,
银雪 said 都没人跟我说我画面歪掉等于银雪 said 我也没注意到
with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And he, Why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
聂小可
noticed that a part of the colonial
我还
collection
真
has
没
been
注意
cleared.
到，我都一直
At the
看
moment,
字
I'm just
在
dealing with
讲
the
什
storage room.
么。
I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes. I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work here. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens. And I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew Gardens. My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed? Well, that is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively. With indifference.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon. Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste. French wine. A remarkable vintage. Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens. a photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish. I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document. There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory.
Gold dust? Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here?
It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here. Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals. This is a table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes. A phonograph used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants to respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish. Chemicals, a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments. A botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert. Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it. Open. Miss White's locker. Apparently, Miss White is a capable student. A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents. These jewels must be worth a small fortune. A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
捏小可 said 当掉哦。银雪 said
Martin Hamish's locker. Father and I, Kew Gardens. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting. Albert's locker. A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College. specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea. Young Albert, standing with a woman in front of London University. The employee's cloakroom. Locked. An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. A thesis written by Martin Hamish. A glasses case. It is empty. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office. This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. It is a bust of Montague Dunn. I am curious if the marble that we found will fit this place. Here it is. The marble fragment that we found in the Colonial Collection Room is what they have in common. The seeds of plant species are stored here. Locked.
Look, Holmes, this charming lady must be Miss White. She's entering the seed house.
Open. From here, we are unable to see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room.
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you, too. But...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
Would you happen to know why part of the Colonial Collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic, and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious. I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon. Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I see. Mr. Hamish, was...
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father. So it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room, in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
I see. There is a
bar.
But what?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
It is strange, because I recovered a fragment of the bust inside the Colonial Collection Room.
Really? Oh, well, so I am mistaken. It ought to have been removed during the cleanup. This room is so small.
Do you know who moved it?
I have no idea. Surely Mr. Dunn requested it. Do you have any more questions like this? Because fragments of rock are not my responsibility.
Evidently. Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our... Here it is. And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us.
银雪 said 累了。银雪 said 今天到这吧。银雪 said 晚安。